So this time we have k of t equals 10t minus 19, and we want to figure out k of minus 7. So our independent variable of t was chosen as negative 7, and we need to figure out the dependent variable, this k of t, or essentially whatever the function is equal to. So we're going to plug in minus 7 anywhere we see a t. So you get 10 times minus 7 minus 19. So that would be negative 70 minus 19, and that simplifies to minus 89. And let's do one more like this. So we have g of r equals minus 1 minus 7r. So we want g of 6. So now we're given, let me write this out one more time. Given that r equals 6, what is g of r? So what would our dependent variable be when our independent variable was given as 6? So we have that g of 6 is equal to minus 1 minus 7 times 6. So minus 1 minus 42, which would be negative 43. So our r value was 6, and our function value was minus 43. So that would be r, and this would be g of r, which it depends what your axes look like, but in all likelihood in this case, you have r for your independent variable along the horizontal axis, and you have g of r along your vertical axis. And let's just do one more challenging problem, just to make sure that you fully understand it. Let's say that we have f of x is 3 times x squared minus 2x plus 4, and we want to know what f of minus 2 is. So essentially, anywhere we see an x, we're going to replace it with negative 2. And so f of minus 2 would be 3 times negative 2 squared minus 2 times negative 2 plus 4. And you might notice that this function here is no longer a linear function because we have this square term right there. And so this is a quadratic function, or its shape is a parabola. So if we graph this, it would look something like this, though shifted around and scaled a bit. But that's kind of the general shape of these. And when plugging in negative numbers, like I mentioned before, it's probably a good idea to put it in parentheses. Because here we got to remember our order of operations, as well as being careful with our negative signs. So I'll just write that out real quick. PEMDAS, PEMDAS, or the way that most people remember it is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But it's the parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply, then divide, then add and subtract. Okay, and I didn't write it down, but I'll put parentheses first. And what we have to do first is the exponents. So parentheses first step is basically, can you simplify the parentheses? If they're already fully simplified, then you move to the next one. So in this case, they're already fully simplified. So we just go to the exponent step. And for that, we got to do minus 2 squared. But be careful, because this is minus 2 times minus 2, which is positive 4. It's very different than if we had minus 2 squared. Because in this one, you have to do the exponent first, 2 squared, which is 4, and then taking the opposite of something is the same as multiplying by negative 1. So if it's in parentheses and you square it, it'll be a positive number. If it's not in parentheses, you do the exponent first, because of your order of operations, and then you take the opposite. So we have minus 2 squared, which is positive 4. So you have 3 times 4, and then we have minus 2 times minus 2. So two negatives cancel and make a positive. So we get plus 4, and then we get plus 4 at the end. So 12 plus 8 would be 20. So this function goes through the point minus 2 comma 20, where we'll just assume that the function and the y value in this case are the same thing. Though it could, in theory, be a different letter for your dependent variable, your vertical axis. But in essence, this is your horizontal axis value, and this is your vertical axis value.